They pretty much know me. I'm like an open book. I mean, they know I love cooking.
What's one of your cooking specialties? What's your go-to?
What ethnicity? I've been in customer service for most of my life, 20 years of food business, financial advising in another life. For years I'd applied for something, and after multiple applications for that particular job, I used to work for the federal government. Totally different track. I couldn't get this job. So right after I decided, okay, I'm gonna go, about 2002, I started thinking about, I need to make a change. So it took me about a year and a half to kind of talking with different people. Decided, hey, we'll go to healthcare. And then right after I enrolled in NKU, I get a phone call from one of my old supervisors saying, hey, do you remember that job in Washington, D.C. you were applying for? You got it. I said, now you tell me. He said, yeah, we'll pay for your transfer, etc. And I'm like, you don't understand. I just bought the house that I would like to retire in. You're 8 months too late. Right now, I'm a certified nurse assistant. So everything has been toward helping people. Partially has to do with my parents. They were both educators. I mean, my mom, this is in the other side of the world, in Iran. I'm originally from Iran. And so she, at some point, noticed that the traditions back on the other side of the world are such that women are considered property. So my mom turned around and established the first all-female university in Iran, which was a first of its own kind that I know of, and helped all these young ladies become teachers. My dad, on the other hand, was a man that brought about change in a state that was barren. He brought a whole group of people together, and they transformed the face of this state in southern Iran by planting trees, making ravines. I guess from having watched them do public service, that's probably part of it where it comes from, and maybe the genes. So I've lived on 3 continents, multiple countries, England, Switzerland, but I also have visited in length other countries in Europe and in Asia. Matter of fact, I met a soldier once that was mentioning about he was in Desert Storm. And during our conversation, he brought up something, and I said, hey, you were in Basra? He goes, yes. I said, so I asked him about a particular location in Basra, and he was shocked. He says, how do you know? I said, well, you used to play soccer down on those sands. So I asked him if there was this bridge still standing there. He said, yeah, it's still there. So that's pretty cool. Every time we have a cooking shindig, there's always, where's Amir? Let's get him, because we need him to bring one of his specialties or whatever. And that's a gift from Grandma, by the way. She learned from many different, she could cook in Turkish, Arabic, French. I learned a lot from her. Then my mom was a great cook, and then I lived with a Chinese family, lived with Greeks, and then learned this, that, and the other. We are so fortunate in the United States, because many people don't know what it is that you have to go get water from a watering well in order to cook. Even in Europe, for as much modernization has happened, you still have to go to the bakery store, you go to the cheese store, you go to the produce store. So there's different things you have to go, and you do this daily. You don't do this like here. You can go to Kroger and buy stuff and freeze whatever you don't have need right now, and so it's very different in many parts of the world. They say the devil is in the detail, and I'm a detail chaser. When I walk into a room with a patient, my first and most important consideration is the patient. But past that, I look at the whole layout of the room. When I walk in a room and see what's going on with the room, is something need to be picked up and tidied, I'll make sure the patients have everything within their reach, but also the equipment. I'm notorious for picking out things that don't work. So I'm always mindful of how can I make your life and your stay at the hospital easier. They call me white lightning. And that's not something I'm making up. You don't want to portray that you're like in a hurry. And I don't, because when I walk in, there's like a threshold. When I walk in a room, everything comes what I call matrix. I slow down because I don't want you to perceive me as, oh, he's in a hurry, he's got to go. But I'm here with you. You're it. You're the boss. What do you need? What can we do? Make it easier for you. And I always tell my patients, you know that easy button, the Staples easy button? I like to make it as easy for you to, all you have to do is hit that button and we're good.